Hello and welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to add to our character movement and give our character a double jump ability. So you'll be able to hit space, jump, and then you'll be able to hit space a second time and do a double jump. Okay, so in our game so far, so we have everything set up. So what we want to do is edit our player controller script. So we have our player controller script, which I have open. And then we want to change a couple of things. So the way that this was scripted originally is wrong in the sense that actually the input for our jump, and this is important because I have my input, and I knew this because your input should be in your update. So in our updates, we're saying, so our move HD, so is input.getX as well. So it's basically if we hit left or right arrow key, that's in our update, which is being called once every frame, right? So that's being called once per frame. Whereas our fixed update is where we want to be moving the character itself. And when I played in the other, so again, as I mentioned in one of the recent videos, that typically you have multiple kind of game files, and one you're sort of playing around with code, making sure it works. And when I was doing that in the other game, this doesn't work very well because we have our jump. So if our space key, which is an input, is in the fixed update, right? So our fixed update, we're doing a move, player, and jump. However, our jump input is in here, not in the update. So anyway, so we're going to fix that in a second. So first things first, so what we want to do is be able to identify how many jumps we've done, and then if we can still jump based on that. So we're going to create a serialize field, and we're going to create a private int. So a private int, and we're going to call this num jumps. And we're going to set that to 0. And then we also want to create a max jump. So serialize field. Oops. And again, a private int, not an iterator, private int, and we're going to call this max jumps. And then this is where you can kind of set how many jumps do you want to be able to do. So I'm going to set that to 2. And then we also want to create a serialize field. And we're going to create a private bool. And we're going to create, or let's call this so let's just do jump. And we're going to set this to false. And that's it. So what we want to do in our update, so we want to move our input from here into the update. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use this Boolean for jump to identify that. So what other do I have? I've typically done is jump. I'm going to change this bool to is jumping. And we're going to set that to false. Okay, so in our update, so we want to get our input here. So I'm going to put this under our other input for that. So what we're going to do is just move that. So we want to identify if grounded. So where am I calling grounded? That's in my fixed update. So I actually want that moved to, so control, let's just cut this. So I want to identify if I'm grounded in the update. This should not be in the fixed update. So we're going to move that up here. So our move and then is grounded equals that. And then we're going to say if, no, not brackets yet. So if is grounded equals true, or the number of jumps is less than our max jumps, then we want to be able to hit the spacebar, right? So if we're grounded, or if our number of jumps are less than the maximum number of jumps, then we're going to be able to hit input. So if the input dot get key, and this time we're going to do get key down. So get key down versus get key, and what did I have before? I had just get key. So on get key, if you hold the space bar down, it allows you to jump forever, essentially. So, but because in our case, once you hit the space bar, you're not grounded anymore, that you can only really jump to one, so it didn't really impact it. However, this time, because we're going to have multiple jumps, if you just kind of tap real quickly, it might only trigger the once. However, if you kind of hold it down, then it's going to trigger twice, and your double jumps it'll jump right away. So we don't want that. Whereas get key down will only trigger when you hit the key down. It's only going to trigger the once. So get key down, and then we're going to get the key code dot space. So if we get key down is the space bar, then we're going to set our jump to be true. So is jumping is true. Right, so now that will allow us to set our, in the fixed update. So we can still run this in the fixed update as our jump, that's fine, it doesn't impact it. The other thing as well, I guess I'm here, is we want to identify, so when we hit the ground, we want to reset our number of jumps to 0, right? Or else otherwise, then it's, once you do a double jump once, this isn't going to reset. So we need to be able to reset that. So we're going to reset that whenever we are grounded. So if is grounded, then we're going to set our number of jumps equals 0. Right, so that'll reset our jumps. Now we're going to go down, and the only other spot we need to change within our code is, so the movements are fine. It's down here. So we don't need to identify this because so this is going to be, so instead of if is grounded, because we're doing that in our update, so we know we're grounded, we know we hit the space first, and then we know we are jumping. So we want to say if is jumping, right? That's the new Boolean we created. So that basically, so if we go back up here, that is identifying it. So that's saying that we were grounded and we hit the spacebar, or we didn't use enough jumps and we hit the spacebar. Right? So if is jumping, so we can get rid of some of this code. We don't need that. So if is jumping. So if is jumping, then we want all of this to happen actually. So we want our rb.velocity, so that's going to make us jump. Our sfx man, so it's going to play our jump sound. And then we also want to add one to our jumps, right? So num jumps plus plus. So that's going to add one. So then we jump once, it says we have one. And then we jump a second time, and it's going to add another one. Then we're going to hit our max jumps, and we won't be able to jump from that. And then, so after it says that, then we want to say is jumping equals false. And I'm not sure. Okay, I just had to find where that brace was. So typically when you get all multiple errors pop up, it's just because of the braces. So currently I have, so in my void jump function, this is my end brace. So when I kind of moved those over, I moved all of this, or I deleted one of the braces or something. So this needs to all be in, let's cut this and move that so that it's back inside of this function here. So we can paste it in here. And I think this is an extra one that I have now. So that hopefully gets rid of them, yeah. And again, you can always just double check, right? So you just want to make sure that your braces are set up so that's there. So this is my function, so that's the end of the function, and so on. So I had just somehow deleted a brace or something to break the function. So anyway, so that's it actually. So this should work. So we can save this. And we can go in, and we should be able to double jump now. So one of the things as well, while we're waiting for this to compile, so I don't know if I had mentioned that. So in the fixed update, so the update calls once per frame. The fixed update can call 0, 1, or several times per frame. So what ends up happening sometimes, I'm not sure why I have that tile error there, but so when you hit space, sometimes it's missing the input, so it didn't quite work, and thus moving my input into the update. So I can move, and let's replay level. Oh, I must. Okay, so I've been, oh, I know why, because I'm starting on this scene. That's why it set me back, because it didn't reset our transform. So I'd want to do, that's why I was off when I went back to the map scene. So anyways, you can just do this straight from here anyway. So rather than moving through the level. So, right, so I can stand. I can only jump twice. Right, so now when I hit the ground, it resets. Right, so it just gives you the double jump. So anyways, that's perfect. Everything works great like that. That's it for this video. Again, I'll be doing some other just sort of random game development ideas. So one of the things that I'm going to do as well is set our background so that it's moving in behind us. And that'll probably be the next video I do, as well as looking at creating some scripts for some new enemies. So that's it for now. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you in some of the future videos.